I don't understand why he's even allowed to have a voice. Like, I don't want to sound cruel or malicious, but it's just awful. But go ahead, whatever. He has a voice somehow.
All right. Top 5 movies between 2011 and 2020. Number 5. This is a movie that I absolutely have loved my entire life.
Nobody cares. You know what? Actually, I have a better idea, Dan. Why don't we talk a little baseball? I can already tell by David's sanctimonious tone. It's a movie I love. I'm not going to like it. So let's do a little bit of baseball. Can I just make Dodgers? How do you win division after division, then fall flat on your face? Mookie Betts and Freddie Freeman went combined 1 for 21. Clayton Kershaw gets lit up like a Christmas tree. Lance Lynn gives up 4 solo home runs in 1 inning, which is the most predictable thing ever that he would get lit up. And I got to listen to David Samson tell me the best movies of the decade. Can't we talk a little baseball? Isn't that more relevant to our audience than David Samson's favorite movies of the decade?
Adnan, it never happened in history. There's never been 4 home runs in a half inning, yet you're saying, Mr. I love movies and I know baseball. Look at me.
Yeah, no, exactly. Because I knew Lance Lynn would give up. I knew he'd get lit up. I didn't say 4 homers in 1 inning. I said I knew he'd give up a bunch of home runs. And by the way, how are the Braves on the brink of losing to the Phillies again? This is amazing. You can win all these games the regular season, then fall flat in your face again because Bryce Harper is staring down Orlando Arcia. And I got to listen to your list. Please, I'm sorry. Go ahead. Number 5, best movies of the decade.
I hired you to do movies and not baseball. You just did a Dodgers analysis and didn't mention that Betts and Freeman went 1 for 21. And
I did say that. Mike, can we check the tape on that? I believe that's the first thing I said.
Number 5. This is
Mike, can we double? I said 1 for 21, Betts and Freeman.
Can we get to the top 5?
He wants to get to the top 5 because he's having trouble with your mic levels. He's having trouble. He is dancing. He's spinning a lot of plates, and you guys are talking so much over each other that Mike is now overwhelmed.
Is this a bit? You guys were finally going to talk about movies that I might like, and then you won't get to it because you want to talk about baseball?
Just get to it. I was going to commend both of you for doing something to appeal to the younger audience and specifically the younger members of the container, and you're getting in your own way by yelling at each other at different mic levels.
Are we friends again, Mike?
No.
Definitely. Too soon. Too soon. Number 5. This is a movie that stars an actor who I have loved, and he's had a career that has spanned 25 to 30 years of movies in my top 100 list. And when you look at the decade and feel about what this...
Okay, enough of the decade. You know, the team of the decade is the Houston Astros. Can we just say, can I get a thought or two of the Houston Astros? We discussed the fact that they're in the ALCS again. This is remarkable, by the way. This is the team everyone loves to hate, which is kind of like you. Dan, can we not agree? David Samson is the Houston Astros. Either you love him or you hate him, and more often than not, you loathe him. You look at him with complete contempt. Samson, Altuve, discuss. Are they not the same person? Sorry, go ahead. Go with your list. Sorry.
We actually do see eye to eye. I don't know if we talk enough about Altuve. They list him at 5'6". I've got news for you. He's 5'5". I'm 5'5". Well, actually 5'4 3/4, but I always list myself at 5'5". I round up. Yeah. And Altuve and I are eye to eye. He is twice as wide as I am and 20 times as strong in a Samson-like way. The irony is he's got the wrong last name, and so do I. And the power that he has from his bat at the top of the lineup, the Astros, someone's got to defeat them because they are a dynasty, and they are separating themselves from the cheating scandal of 2017 because all they do is win. And MLB, as despondent as they are about the Dodgers, as despondent as they are about this year's playoffs so far, having the Astros as a villain and the Astros still in it, even though having an all-Texas series, Adnan, it's not good.
Well, what about the Baltimore Orioles? Charm City, and they fall flat on their faces. Here's an idea. Go get a starting pitcher. Maybe Jack Flaherty wasn't the answer at the trade deadline. Maybe Kyle Bradish, Grayson Rodriguez, and Dean Kramer, for God's sakes, was not good enough to win you a World Series. Would you agree on that at least? As a man who has won World Championships, perhaps some starting pitching, a little more acumen would have been helpful?
I just wouldn't have said Dean Kramer for Christ's sakes. But that said, when you have...
Number 5?
Yeah, well, I've lost Jessica and Lucy again is the problem. Now you found a topic in baseball playoffs that somehow makes them less interested than your movies from the 1970s.
I'd rather have Mike Ryan just yell at me again.
I've never raised my voice.
He didn't. That's right. I feel bad. I'm sorry.
They are so right. The baseball playoffs have been...
Stop apologizing. Stay strong, Lucy. I can't.
So interesting. The playoffs have been interesting, and all of the best teams are losing. That can't be good for anybody. Cannot be good for anybody.
It's really good for owners, actually, because the owners get to look at Steve Cohen and get to look at Peter Seidler, the Mets and the Padres and all the people who spent all that money, the Dodgers, and they get to say, hey, we don't have to spend this much money because you spend that money and lose.
What?
Why bother?
The Phillies, exist. Like, there's the Padres. Yeah, they didn't make the playoffs, but people are supporting the team, and the team is competitive. They're spending money. There's a lot of good examples in that sport of spending money and people coming out to support that, and a lot of good stories to be told, like the Bryce Harper contract somehow working, even though everybody that is in front of a microphone laughed at it. So you're always so quick to celebrate how, yeah, the Mets are bad and look at all the money that they spent, but there's plenty of good stories to be told. And right now, one of baseball's best markets in Philadelphia, they're loving the fact that their owners went for it.
Their owners, well, John Middleton is actually an example of an owner who has a quote where he said, I'm willing to spend stupid money. And that did not help his case inside owners' meetings, because that is a bad place to be. And he's getting company now.
It's bad for the owners. It's not bad for the fans. It's great for the fans.
No, I think what's great for the fans is every team going into a season thinking they have a chance. They have some amount of hope that they're going to be able to play in the playoffs.
You do. It's a 4 seed versus a 6 seed. Who expected that in LCS? Mike's right, David. You're wrong.
They do. It's a sport that you say, oh, we can win inside the margins in this sport, but it's a lottery. But the teams that spend more money get more lottery tickets. Everyone understands that about this sport. It's not a bad thing that teams are spending money. Stop trying to make everybody the Rays.
The Rays are the example of who you want to be.
Yeah, I want to be a team that gets 19,000 for my playoff games. It's exactly what I'm looking for.
Dude, I've been flipping. You say it's been interesting. We all know that you kill my passion for the sport. I don't need to get back into that. But it does seem fun tuning in and flipping through the channels and seeing how crazy that Philadelphia baseball crowd is around this team with a lot of big money free agents.
This is Philadelphia. I think we'd all agree that they have a fan base. They were the most difficult fan base I ever encountered. I don't know, Adnan, when you're on the road, what you think of the Philly fan base, but they are, if you're not from Philadelphia, I would not call them the best fan base. They are not nice to people who are not like them, and I had a lot of issues with Philadelphia, and so did our players, actually, in the outfield, including some of our Marlins. Go ask Juan Pierre what he thinks about the Philadelphia fans.
Well, I love the time Jay-Z name-checked him. I used to run base like Juan Pierre, but I got to tell you, Philadelphia, raucous fan base, passionate, at times can be a little bit unlikable, but hey, it's kind of like you too in some ways, right?
Well, I would think that they're a little bit ugly, though, too, right? Philadelphia can be irrationally passionate about its sports and now has more reasons to care than it's had in a very long time.
But Dan, how great is it that Bryce Harper gets taunted by Orlando Arcia, who says afterwards, after game 2, when Harper gets picked off of that double play, says, ha ha, Harper. And that gets back to Bryce Harper, and he goes out and hits 2 home runs in front of that crowd at game 3 and stares at Arcia as he rounds the bases. That is what playoff baseball is all about. That is a red light player, a superstar coming through. How do you not love Bryce Harper in that moment?
And they were also wearing Colorado hoodies and shirts because Atlanta, quote, made it personal.